Hey folks, so I'm going to go ahead and plant a bunch more of the Begonia Pavonina, which I've been propagating. And I haven't looked at these in quite a while now, since last year. So it's nice to see how much they've grown. So underneath I have a bin with 5, 10, 15, 25 pots. So I want to make sure I get at least the 25 largest seedlings. So these are starting to get like well rooted. And what's nice is you can see that the sphagnum moss in this high humidity environment, I have some sphagnum moss and I have the lid sealed, put it under grow lights. And the sphagnum moss is actually coming back to life, which is nice. Sometimes you see it turn green and it could be just algae forming on the moss, but in this case, it's actually good live moss. So I'm actually just going to take these out, and this leaf is still alive, and I'll see if I can get more plants from it. So I do like to trim them when I can, and I'm going to just set them somewhere and make sure I have 25 of these. So I'll see, there's some roots growing on this one that could possibly form a new plantlet. So I'm just going to leave that there and take that. That's 2. Let's see. Then here is 3. Let's see. Now this one, you see the tip of it gave me a new plant. This one's a little small. It's not going to be easy to keep alive if I transplant it. Doesn't mean you can't, so I'm going to leave that there. And so that one's still small as well. So I'm just going to leave those there. I see some larger ones over here, which I'm going to go ahead and pluck. There we go. And let's see here. These are 2. Yep, 2 plants. Since these are all small, I like to get them at about the same size. I'm just going to go ahead and take that and add it there as well. Well, it's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops, that broke off. Hopefully it can stay alive. That's a good one. Now when you have dead leaves, you can always remove these, but I don't know if that's even worth trying to hold on to. And I might as well take out some of the dead leaves while I am doing this. Let's see, here's a good one. These get to a certain point and they don't have all this nutrition like they do in soil, so they don't grow as well, but once you transplant them, you have really good growth to them. And I have a bunch that I'll show you that they, sorry, it's hard to talk and focus sometimes, but I have a bunch that I watered and they really grew. Like I just watered recently and noticed them grow fast afterwards, which was nice. Okay, I just counted 13, 14, 15, and I'm just going to remove this. I don't think I'll get much more. Well, there's a small one. I'll just take the dead leaves off. 14, 15. '16, 17, 18. Oops, that one broke. I'm just going to leave it in here for now. See if those roots can develop and the plant can do better. 19. 23. Let's see. Here we go. That's a good one. 24. Oh, that's a tiny one. I'm going to leave it in here. And we'll take this one. 25. So I have 25 that I pulled, and I can really get a lot more from these, can't I? But I only have a limited amount of space. So here's what I pulled. Let's double check the count. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. So now we can remove this lid. And get that in there. This soil is really parched, so I will have to make sure that it's well saturated so these tiny fragile seedlings don't get, so that they don't, I can't even talk, can I, when I'm trying to work, so they don't dry out. But I filled this soil lightly so that it's light and airy. So when I water these, I want to make sure I'm not going to water on top and make it compact and kill these fragile roots. As you can see, the soil that I used has a lot of wood pieces in it. Not really that bad of a thing for them. We'll see if this tiny one can survive. It's always good to experiment versus say, oh, it's not going to live, because it's so small and fragile. Oops, I broke one leaf, as you can see. I could probably take that broken leaf and make me more plants. But I actually have more than 25. Yep, I pulled up more than I needed. So as you can see, I have several more, and I'm just going to set them in here until I can get around to planting them. And this way you can keep them alive that way. But you don't want to put two all together. You want to separate them so the roots don't get fully entangled with each other. Okay, there we go. Put the lid back up, remove the debris, put the lid back on, and onto my grow rack. So I just set them over here under the lights and just let them stay there. They're happy until I can plant them. So with that, now we will take care of the ones I just potted up. So I have a tea of mosquito bits in my watering can. So I've had a lot of gnats And I have these traps, and you can see I set them just a couple days ago, and I already have a few gnats. That gunk in there is actually from the soap interacting with the vinegar, which adjusts the surface tension. But I have several of these laying around my plants, and they're catching their fair share of gnats. In addition to the vinegar traps, I have a really powerful vacuum cleaner which I can suck up gnats, and this part broke, but I put a lid on it to keep the gnats from flying off. But you can see how I have several that are flying around in there because I did catch a lot. This thing works really well, and if you want to know how to build one of these really powerful vacuum cleaners, make sure you check out my video on my other YouTube channel on how to build them. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and water this. So my jug with the mosquito bits, where you let them soak and make a tea, and then you can dilute it a little. I have some pieces of mosquito bits that floated off, but that's fine. And I'm going to take a piece of this out and just pour it in between. I don't want to pour it from the top because if I do, what's going to happen is it will compact, and I just want the roots to be able to grow freely and rapidly throughout. And I just noticed one pot which I missed planting. So what I'm going to do is just give this a little more. You don't want to fill this too much because you're going to let the soil gradually soak up the water. And then you want to make sure the water, there will be just a little bit at the bottom. You don't want to keep it too much or let it completely dry, just to make sure the soil is adequately moist without overwatering these. So now let us see what I'm going to do for that one pot which I missed. I have another container where I haven't had success at propagating much in here. I had one plant I bought off Etsy, a miniature begonia, and I stuck it in here hoping I'll keep it alive when I went away over Christmas, and it died. I have some Selaginella wildenoi hoping to propagate. They died. Some Begonia taconite. They died. I even had a piece of Begonia foliosa somewhere in here, and it died. But my Begonia lecanora is doing well. Over here, this is a piece from one of the plants I have, or the plant that I have that's in a terrarium. That terrarium is really nice, by the way. And then here I have a small piece of macgravia. I'm going to leave that in there, hoping it does well, but I'm not sure why this one seems to not have too many things survive in there. But regardless, at least I have a beautiful Begonia lecanera in here. And this is a miniature begonia that has some iridescence to it, although I haven't seen it iridesce just yet. And I'm going to set this here, stick this a little bit in there, just get the roots just below the surface, bury as much as I can, and just let it take over on its own. So with that, I'm just monitoring the levels. I can add a little more water. Because this soil is parched, it doesn't, it takes a while to soak up because dry soil doesn't wick up as much water as easily as wet soil. But if it's so soggy, it's not going to wick up much. But just a watering can's worth should suffice. And hopefully with this water that has bits of mosquito bits in it, and it's like a tea in there, it will keep the gnats from, if any come in here, from breeding and taking over. So now I can put the lid on and I can let it sit under one of my grow lights in nice humidity until these establish in there, and I will acclimate them. And in a couple months, they should look like these really beautiful begonias. So here are some of my begonia pavoninas, which I propagated. They're starting to look very well. literally like maybe sometime last week, I gave them a nice good, actually 3-4 days ago, I gave them a good watering as well. And they seem to have grown well, which means I wasn't watering them enough, so they didn't grow as fast. And you can see that they're starting to look really full and lush. And I have one cup next to it, and I only have one dead gnat in here. And I set this as much as I did, or around the same time, or at the same time I did the other. So when you find one of these cups that actually trap a lot of gnats, you have it close to the source of which plant is propagating a lot of gnats or breeding them. When you don't have too many, then it's just catching a random gnat, but it's not close to whichever area is the culprit for which the gnats are breeding. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you are inspired to propagate your own begonias, and you enjoy having a nice group of them that you can give to friends or sell or just show off with. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and happy planting.